and welcome to our 8th full-day Brewbound session. And this is our 4th year here at the Paradise Point in San Diego. Thank you for joining us. Before we get things started today, I just wanted to take a brief moment to thank a few folks that helped make this event possible. Most especially the team here at Brewbound and BevNet. These guys have really pulled together in dire times yesterday when this banner that you see behind me was somewhere in the middle of the day flying over Texas, and we weren't sure if we were going to have it, so we had a crew at the airport quite literally pulling it off a FedEx plane at about 10 p.m. last night. So thank you guys for all your hard work. I really appreciate it. Couldn't do it without you. And I also wanted to take a moment to introduce our new assistant editor. Jane Lothrop comes to us from Rogue. She's sitting up here in the front. Welcome, Jane. Comes to us from Rogue Brewing. So, Brett, I guess if you're tuning into the live stream, sorry for poaching some of your talent. I hear that's happening quite a bit in craft beer these days, and I guess we're guilty of it now too. So, if you see Jane floating around today, please say hello, introduce yourself, share all your trade secrets with her, tell her everything is on the record, and give her all your scoops. So, with that, I'd like to thank our sponsors. You can see behind us, VIP, Dueler, Tidestone Solutions, Markham, GEA, Owens, Illinois, Craft Brew Alliance, Graphic Packaging, Vicinity Brew, and Blue Horseshoe, Novellus, and Brewery Pack. Thank you guys for supporting us over the years. I know that we've been for the last 4 years trying to build this thing. Some of you guys have been with us from the start, so we really appreciate it. And last but certainly not least, thank you to all the folks who joined us today. I think there's 230 of you guys here today. Not all of you probably have trickled in yet from our welcome reception last night, but I do see some familiar faces and some new ones. And I want to let you guys know that our only goal here today is to help you guys out. We want to see you guys succeed. We're here to help. We've designed the program today with an eye toward educating everyone in the critical areas of finance, business planning, brewery development, growth strategies, and succession planning. We really want this to be an environment where entrepreneurs can come, exchange creative ideas, interact with like-minded beer industry professionals, and ultimately walk away with concepts on how to improve your business. I think we saw yesterday that there's more than 4,100 breweries now operating in the U.S., the most all time, and it has never been more important to respect the business side of brewing as much as you guys respect the craft of brewing. The beer industry is in the midst of some profound change, and it can be incredibly easy to lose sight of the ultimate goal, which is to make great beer while maintaining a healthy and profitable business. Tommy Arthur, who I'm not sure if he's here yet, has, there he is, walking right in, right on cue, has famously said in the past that he's in the business of staying in business, and I think that rings pretty true. And we really want to help you guys out and help you do that, but not only just to stay in business, but to excel. So that's why we're here today. And let's face it, there's a lot of noise out there. It can be incredibly distracting, especially when you see some of your craft brewing brethren taking the next step in their own business life cycles and taking big paydays in the process. And that sort of brings us to the first item on today's agenda, our 2015 year in review. There were a lot of stories that we could have picked. We've seen a lot of leadership changes across the board at some of the top craft breweries, some folks stepping back from the day-to-day operations. We've seen a lot of changes, both at the state and federal level. But ultimately, sort of the number one story this year has been all of the deal activity. It's the number one question I get asked when I get on the phone with people. And the question is always, who's selling and for how much? Those questions, or the answers to those questions, aren't always easy, but they have been the bulk of our coverage this year. So with that, let's take a brief look back at some of the deals in 2015, or at least the ones, I guess, that we could fit into a 2-minute video. So thankfully nobody sold while we were all drinking last night over at Mission Brewery, or else we would have had to change that video. But as you can see, there's just a ton of activity. So let's start there this morning with one brewery that you saw in the video, Odell Brewing, which in June sold 70% of the company back to employees and the management team. Odell was founded on a shoestring budget of just $130,000 back in 1989. And in the early years, they were a draft-only operation. But by 1995, they were making more than 8,000 barrels annually, and that number has since grown to over 100,000. Over the course of its 26-year history, Odell has developed a tremendous ability to produce high-quality products consistently and demonstrated extreme patience during periods of rapid growth and expansion. The company has, quite literally defined what it means to grow smart and never overreach. Led by founders Corky, Doug, and Win Odell, two of whom are here in the audience today, one of whom will be getting up on stage in just a moment, Win. The Fort Collins, Colorado brewery has made a habit of methodically choosing its growth opportunities, expanding slowly, even as other breweries around them plotted a course for national distribution. Still sold in just 11 states, Odell plans to produce about 112,000 barrels this year, but it's the decisions that they've made along the way that make them an excellent case study on how to bootstrap a strong core business, refine their core competencies, develop a succession plan, and simultaneously move the brewery forward during one of the most competitive times in craft beer history. So, without further ado, Win Odell from Odell Brewing.